Do you get lit? I mean, do you understand literature? That's a little joke there. There's a lot to it sometimes, and sometimes a writer says something that has multiple meanings, which requires you to analyze. So getting lit, getting literature, sometimes requires analysis. This isn't true for everything you read. Some things you just can breeze through and understand really easily, and that can be an enjoyable experience. But we're going to talk about a different type of literary experience. If authors always wrote in a way that their words and phrases were only to be taken literally, then stories would be really boring. We don't even speak this way. You're clever, and your speech often contains plays on words, double meanings, exaggerations, etc. This is something you do without even thinking about it, but you fill your language with multiple meanings. When you learn about this type of language and you start to notice and analyze it, reading and writing become more enjoyable. It's another layer of the onion, so to speak. It's time to learn all about figurative language. That's what this entire playlist and learning target is about. And you've already learned about some types of figurative language, so I'm sure once we really get into it, some things will look very familiar to you. So that should encourage you a little bit. So this is the learning target RL, which stands for Reading, Literature, Figurative Meanings. Which means by the end of the playlist, your goal is to be able to say, I can analyze the speaker's purpose. That's not what it's supposed to say. Uh-oh. Bear with me, my dears. This is what it's supposed to say. You're going to see behind the curtain of how I create these. Here's what we mean. My apologies. I can understand the impact of figurative meanings of words within a text. That's what we're trying to talk about here. As always, remember, you can use and reuse all of the resources in this playlist to help you master the target. There's going to be some videos where I give you notes. You might have to pause those frequently and take notes and maybe even rewind because you didn't quite catch something. Please, please, please do that as much as you need to in order to master the target and be ready for the assessment. Speaking of the assessment, how will you be graded? Here's your proficiency scale. Just going to start with a 3 because I'm hoping none of you are shooting for a 1 or a 2. A 3 is passing at 60%. This is where you can identify and analyze instances of figurative language in a self-selected text. Of course, you're always reading self-selected text through our independent reading time. So those are the texts where you're going to pull this out. So it's going to be a little different for everybody because everybody's reading different things. To reach a 4 and to get a B, not only can you do that, but you can also do this. You can explain in your own words how the context of the story and the meaning of the figurative language influence each other. And there I will demonstrate how that works in a video. So keep your eyes peeled for that, because I want you to shoot higher than passing. Even higher still, to get to the very top of 5 on the proficiency scale, you're going to be able to do everything here for a 3, everything for a 4, and you're also going to write an original short story that contains figurative language. And within your own story, you will label correctly and analyze the figurative language in your story. So, yes, this is a reading target, but reading and writing, they're married to each other, you know. Things that I read influence how I write. So we're going to practice that together too in this target playlist. So just a very brief overview of how this is going to work, and I've hinted at it a little bit already. But as you prepare to analyze figurative language in this playlist, keep in mind, number 1, you need to understand the definitions in the examples and the analysis questions, which I will deliver to you in a video. So this means pay very close attention to the video lessons and please take notes. I'm going to show you, there's a form here. This is just a little preview of it. Make this smaller. But this is where you're going to take notes. So it's very guided. It tells you exactly where everything goes, and I will illustrate for you how to do that. So take those notes, but also, as it says here, please ask questions. So anything that you are unsure about in the video, take note of your questions. And when we conference, when I circulate, I will answer those questions for you. Number 2, you need to look for the types of figurative language you are studying in your own personal book or books. Okay, so again on this sheet, I keep changing the size. That's not helping. Again on this sheet, as you scroll down, and you'll see this, this is where you're actually going to collect your own examples of these in what you're reading. Now, you have to find all of the different types that we're studying somewhere, and maybe you're at the end of a book because you're all at different places in your books. So maybe you're able to find hyperbole in the book you're currently reading, but then you pick up your next book because you always move on to the next book, and that's where you find the rest of these. That's fine. So you're just going to make sure you list more than one author there. But the point is, you really need to understand all of the notes up here that you're going to take over my video to be able to apply that and, you know, get all your points for this proficiency scale, on this proficiency scale. And in fact, to reach a 5, you'll have to write your own story using figurative language. So as you learn about them and take notes about these different types of figurative language, you might be thinking about either something that you already wrote or something that you want to write, a story that might include all of these elements. So kind of bear that overview of this unit in mind from the beginning so that you're preparing for the end from the start, so to speak.